till like 1 a.m. and then I play video games till 6 a.m. and go to bed. And I got a 9 to 5. So, all right, guys, I will see you.
How's it going, Kington? What is that, Kington Ty? How's it going, man? All right. I'm going to start recording too. What's going on? It is Tuesday night, and I am going to talk comic books for a little while. I'm going to do part 2 of bagging boarding my pickups from Heroes Con. Excuse me. From Heroes Con 2025. I got a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm going to talk about, the stuff that I bought and why and what I'm going to be looking for. Also, I really like going to Key Comic Collector and just kind of going through the trending comics and stuff. This year, I was more prepared for Heroes Con than any other year. And I actually spent less time at the con than I did last year. Last year, I went all 3 days. This year, I went Friday all day. I missed Sunday because I actually went to Charleston. I missed Saturday because I actually went to Charleston and I was fishing on Saturday. And then I came back for the second, for the afternoon of Sunday, and I did around noon to the rest of the day Sunday. So less time, but I think I got better books and better pickups, more for my money this year than I did last year. And I think it has a lot to do with me just being prepared, doing the research, having a list of comics. Also this year, I didn't get as many signatures. I got a few, but the reason is, and you'll see some of the books that I got signatures of, I knew I was going to be there less time. And I thought, this time I want it to be all about getting the comic books that I want, because this is the best place to go to look for comic books in the country. The best con. It is the best con in the country to look in the world, because U.S. is the only place really with comic books. But it's the best place to go to find any book you're looking for, even super high end stuff. That's worth tens of thousands. Excuse me. So that was my focus this year, and I think I really accomplished a lot. So let's take a look at some of the comic books that I picked up. Hold on one second here. We'll start with this one right here. How's it going, Blackie Brown? Well, that's an amazing name. I got some really cool rare comic books, and I'm gonna rebag and board all of them because I don't care if they come in a somewhat okay bag and board. I am kind of OCD about this stuff. And by the way, you can ignore the prices on here. They're never what I ended up paying for these. But I'm super particular about the bags and boards I use for my comic books. This is very similar to the bags and boards I use, but I like Mylar bags for rare books. Mylar bags. Which this is actually. So this is actually a good example of what I do like. But I even if it's the same as what I would normally put mine in, I put mine in a fresh bag and board every time I get a new comic. All right. Let's see. So this book right here is the third appearance of the Punisher. Amazing Spider-Man 135. Yeah, third appearance of the Punisher. It says sources often refer to this issue as the second full appearance of the Punisher, despite the character fully appearing in Amazing Spider-Man 134. Yeah, there's always this there's always this back and forth with people over whether or not something is just a cameo appearance or a first appearance. But I think this one is widely considered to be the third appearance. So there he is. Do I have a second appearance? I can't remember, but I definitely don't have the first appearance now. Let me grab some bag and boards. Get this stuff out of the way. Silver. There we go. Welcome in, welcome in. And I think I bought this for less than $25, but it was probably close to that. So, you know, when it comes to key comic books, I'll just say this like at the beginning of my stream, because I need to clarify the way, you know, kind of the way I collect. I like getting key issues in my collection, and as long as they look good enough to like be able to put it on a shelf and it look good, and it's not missing a huge chunk of the cover, and it's not missing, you know, it doesn't have any major defects like a color breaking, you know, crease right down the middle. I'm happy with that, and I just want to get these books in my collection. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there he is. I actually haven't read this. I think this is John Romita Sr. Yeah. All right, there's the first one. Oh, right here are some books that I brought to the con that I didn't end up getting signed. This is Ghost Rider #1. This is the first appearance of Danny Ketch and the start of this Ghost Rider run. How's it going, Sergeant Frosty Man? And Howard Mackie was supposed to be at the con, and he had to cancel, I guess, missed his flight or something. It got delayed. I don't know. A lot of flights are getting delayed nowadays. So he didn't make it, so I couldn't get this signed. I ended up not being able to get this signed by Roy Thomas, which is, you know, a shame. And then I got a different book signed and graded for Jerry Conway. I got the first appearance of Tarantula. So this was like my backup book to get signed by Jerry Conway. I just didn't end up needing it to get signed. And then I was going to have this signed by the artist Daryl Banks, but I got 4 other books signed by him, which was actually great. And I'm going to show those in a second. This is the book that I got from the Comics Curing Cancer booth. So this is a really great charity that these guys do, and it's an official partner of the I think it's called American Cancer Society or something like that. And it's a really great cause, and obviously, you know, I've had you know, that's touched my family very closely recently, and I was super happy to support. And I'm going to make a video talking about the Comics Curing Cancer stuff. I'm going to make a short about it this weekend and go into more in depth about it. But this is great, and this is one of the comics that you could buy that the proceeds went to the charity. So this is really cool. I'm actually not going to rebag and board that one. All right, what else we got here? Oh yeah, okay, this is cool. All right, so these are all in order and signed. Here, let's put them in order. This is Green Lantern 48, signed by Daryl Banks. This is the first cameo appearance of Kyle Rayner. Actually, let me double check this before I make all these claims, because I don't remember exactly what the keys are. That's here. Oops. Okay, so first cameo appearance of Kyle Rayner in the final page. He becomes the third Green Lantern, right? So that's this one. And then 49, which I like to call the Tom Brady cover, right? Also got that one signed by the artist Daryl Banks. That is it's just an iconic cover, and it's the first appearance of some of the, let me see, some of the Green Lanterns. But it's like part of the beginning of Kyle Rayner coming in, right? And then here, this is the first Hal Jordan as Parallax, which is awesome. And I think he kills a bunch of Green Lanterns in here. This issue is actually just a really cool issue to read. And then right here, this is 51, right? This is the first cover appearance of Kyle Rayner. Actually, was 50? Oh, right. Okay, this is the first full appearance of Kyle Rayner, and it is the first appearance of Hal Jordan as Parallax. It's the death of Kilowog, death of Sinestro. Kyle Rayner becomes the new Green Lantern, and it's a glow-in-the-dark cover, which is kind of cool. To me, like, the most important thing about this is that it's the first appearance of Kyle Rayner. The second most important thing to me is that it is the first appearance of Hal Jordan as Parallax, and that's, you know, kind of significant. And it even comes into play in Jeff Johns' run way later, where they go into the origin, you know, where Parallax came from and how he was locked in the Green Lantern power battery and everything else like that. And so that has big implications. And then this one right here, like I said, this is the first cover of Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern. So yeah, I got all these books signed by Daryl Banks. He's a really cool guy. I talked to him about this run a little bit, and I actually mentioned to him the refrigerator scene where Kyle Rayner, you know, spoiler if you haven't read the origin of Kyle Rayner, but basically, like, a villain comes and unalives his girlfriend and puts her in a fridge, and the Comics Code Authority made Daryl Banks cover her inside of the fridge with the fridge door. And because of that, people thought she was dismembered, which made it seem more violent than it would have been if he had left it open and just showed her kind of like, you know, shoved in there. And I just thought that was an interesting story. And it's one of the things I love about going to the con and actually talking to the creators of these comic books. I think it's pretty cool to, you know, to learn things like that and just, like, you know, to pick these guys' brains about interesting things about the comics that they've worked on. So yeah, let's rebag and board these real quick. These are all modern, so I just need modern bags and boards. I think I need to turn the music up a little bit. Uh-oh, I'm almost out of modern boards. Man, it gets hot in my office. How's it going, Mike? All right. So I read this. I read these issues in the Kyle Rayner Rising Compendium. So if you actually want to read this content in a collected edition, I recommend that compendium. It was really good. And I don't like to collect characters until I've actually read something about them in the comics. And Kyle Rayner was one of those Green Lanterns where I knew of Kyle Rayner, and I knew about him, you know, just from reading later comics, more modern stuff. And I never really collected anything related to Kyle Rayner because I feel like it's disingenuous to collect comics around a character just because other people like that character and other people think it's a cool character. I think you should find your own connection with the character before you start spending a bunch of money on comics related to that character. And so after I read that, I just love the Tom Brady cover. Of course, I just call it. That's not like official or anything. After I read the Kyle Rayner compendium, I was like, you know what? This character is really cool. I like the origin. I like the fact that he's an artist, so that helps him make constructs. I love the art from around that time because I grew up in the 90s, and the first comic books I ever read were in the 90s. Probably stuff that Darryl Banks worked on, actually. One of the first comic books I ever read was a Green Lantern book. It actually may have been the first one I ever read. It was actually a crossover. It was Green Lantern and Silver Surfer. And I always think it's funny that the first comic book I ever read happened to be a crossover between Marvel and DC. I have that somewhere in one of these boxes. And so, you know, 90s Green Lantern is like really nostalgic for me. I really love, and all these covers are so. Darryl Banks is a really, really good artist. I hope the guys that did art in the 90s eventually get more like recognition, like the guys from the Silver Age do, and the Bronze Age even. You know, like I hope one day everyone's like, and I'm just using Darryl Banks as an example. But I hope one day people are like, oh, wow, yeah, I just love collecting, you know, Darryl Banks covers and blah, 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 blah. Like, I guess Darryl Banks hasn't done that much more work in comics afterwards, but, like, maybe there'll be that, like that with, like, Daniel Warren Johnson or something like that. Some of these newer guys. But I just feel like there's a lot of good artists in the 90s, and they don't get that much recognition. Oh, wow, I didn't realize till I took this out of the bag and board, but this is actually like textured. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. Oh, you can see it a little bit like that, which is pretty cool. And I guess that's what makes it glow in the dark. I got to look at this thing at night because I'm blasting it with light right now. So it'll probably, oh man, I love this one. I'm definitely going to display this one. Maybe all four of these I'm going to display. In the 90s, they really like experimented with a lot of stuff, like glow in the dark, for example, or they did a lot of like the foil covers and stuff, which that came back around recently, and they were doing a lot more foil covers. But I like the foil covers, man. I'm all for the gimmicks and stuff like that. All right, and this is first cover. Everybody knows this cover, I feel like. So let me just look at the art in here real quick. Oh yeah, still newsprint at this point. I forgot about that. An ad for Batman and Spawn. I have that book as well. Yeah, the art in here is beautiful. Those are the only books that I actually got signed at this con. Like I said, usually I get a lot more books signed. Oh no, and I got one book signed by Jerry Conway. But this year was all about finding the rare books, finding the rare comics and stuff like that. So that's those. And like I said, we had Third Punisher here. What we got next? Oh, we have some Scotty Young books. My wife and I love Scotty Young. Let me read back and board these real quick. I think I'm just gonna reuse these boards because I'm running out of modern boards. All right, just gonna throw these in here real quick. Oh, these are too big. Go. Scotty Young always comes to this con, and I really like his work. I like buying his books and stuff. I have a lot of Scotty Young. I have a whole binder full of Scotty Young comics, and I have a bunch of his signature. I don't typically go get a signature from him anymore when he goes to Heroes Con because his line is crazy long, and I just don't want his signature that bad. I hope that the Scotty Young hype never dies out. I'm a little worried that it might one day. He has a particular type of art, right? Like this style that he does that everybody loves. And I think it's really cool, but I just wonder sometimes if like it's a little bit like, I don't know, gimmicky. Like I wonder if people are eventually going to be like tired of it, you know? But his stuff is funny. He keeps coming up with clever stuff for his covers. So I hope that, I mean, and then I hope his stuff increases in value one day because I have so much Scotty Young in my collection. All right, next book. Oh, this is a big one. Tales of Suspense 66. So this is from the 60s. This is a Silver Age book, and during this time in Tales of Suspense, you had an Iron Man story, and then you had a Captain America story. So you had two different stories taking place in one, unrelated, taking place in one comic. These are split into two different omnibuses, so you can read all the Captain America stuff in the Captain America omnibus, or all the Iron Man stuff in the Iron Man omnibus, which I am reading, and I have both those omnis. This one was a little more expensive. It says $70 here. I'm not sure exactly what I ended up buying it for. And then the seller put in a note here: first appearance of Red Skull in the Silver Age and the origin of the Red Skull. So that's what this is. Let me look it up real quick just to see what the date of this is. Tales of Suspense 66. 1965, so it's 60 years old, this book. I'm going to turn the music up just a little bit. See how that goes. All right, let's grab bag and board for this one. So yeah, that being said, I was really looking for Tales of Suspense at this con. I didn't get that many Tales of Suspense books, but I think the ones I got were pretty awesome. I'm so happy to have this one. I think this is an awesome cover showing Red Skull, Captain America, and Iron Man. And for the historical significance, like, it is a key, you know? But I think this is a beautiful book. I have to be careful with this when I take it out of the bag and board because the spine does have a little work on it. But I'm super, super happy with this pickup. And I think, and I think, yeah, it's worth $400 in high grade, this book. So, you know, it's not mine isn't a $400 book, but it could be worth that much. Sometimes I like to know what it's worth in high grade. And sometimes I like to just take a little look in here because I think the ads and stuff are so funny back at this time. The Silver Age really just has some magic to it, especially for Marvel. And it's so funny because they always put these things in like, oh, cut this out and mail it in. And it's just a shame. Like, well, it devalues the book so much. It's like they would never put something like that in a comic book nowadays. But they had no idea that these things were going to be worth so much money. Yeah, I'm really happy about this one. This one I'll probably put up on my wall. I just realized I haven't been mentioning the value of the books, but I'll try to say that for the rest of the books that I'm showing. There you are, safe. I'm gonna put all the tape on all of them after the stream. All right, what else we got next? I actually don't remember all these books that I got, so I'm kind of just like pulling them out. Oh, you know what? Let me rearrange this light a little bit. This light's a little bit blinding, isn't it? Hold on. Move it back real quick. This is riveting content, I know. Hold on. There we go, that's a little better. Now I don't have the reflection as much on the books. It's still there, but it's a little moved back a little bit. All right, next book. So yeah, I don't remember all the books that are in here. So what do we got? Oh, this is awesome. I love like wacky villains and just interesting comic books and stuff. Do you read the comics or just collect them? I read them. I have a really big omnibus collection. So I read comics from all different eras, and omnibuses are collected editions, right? And they're graphic novels that take all these comics and put them together in a big hardcover book. So I've read so many comics, like way more than your average comic collector through my omnibuses. And actually I can show those. I could show my omnibuses real quick right now. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's show the omnis real quick. I like to show this off every freaking stream. Hold on. This will answer your question of, do I read the comics?
And there's us.
So yes, I read comics. Anyway, going back to this. Okay. I love wacky villains, and I just love wacky stuff in general in comic books. Spider-Man 130. And this is like ultimate wackiness in comics, especially from like the Silver Age. This is the debut of the Spider-Mobile. So there it is right there. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in a comic book. Why does Spider-Man need a car? He can swing everywhere. I guess if he goes out to the country, you know, and there's no trees. I think this thing even like climbs walls and stuff, which again, why would he need a vehicle that could do that? It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm all here. I'm here for it, man. I love like the Stilt Man, you know, Tarantula, I think is super wacky. Weather Wizard over at DC with Flash. I just love that kind of campy stuff from the Silver Age. Here is the first Spider-Mobile. Let's see if it's in here. Hold on. I don't know what page it's on, but we'll find it real quick. There it is. First Spider-Mobile. Now, this was a little bit short-lived, but I just think this is awesome. This is a book I'm super happy to have in my collection, and it's a book that maybe not that many people care about, but you know what? I don't care. I do. I think it's cool. And this is Hammerhead here. And who's the creative team on this book, actually, I wonder? I think it's John Romita Sr., which I've been loving John Romita Sr. lately. Yep, John Romita Sr. and Jerry Conway. Jerry Conway was at the convention, and John Romita Jr. was at the convention. Thank you. Thank you. RCT pool. All right. Here is our bag. And here's our board. And the colors on this book, ooh, almost just creased my book there. The colors are really great. Actually, I mean, honestly, this is high grade for this book, I would say. I mean, it says it's only worth like $55. But I think this one is in that category. It has a crease there. So maybe not. I don't know. I don't think it's mid-grade though. First Spider-Mobile, people. This is a big deal because you didn't even know there was a Spider-Mobile, I bet. All right, let's see what the next book is. Again, I don't even remember what books I bought, so this is a surprise for me too. All right, it is. Oh, this is awesome. I have gotten way more into Herb Trimpe, or is it Trimpy or Trimpe? And he has some iconic covers, especially for Hulk. I have some of his really big covers, and I saw this one when I was doing the research for the con, and I was like looking into what I wanted to buy, and I was like, I gotta have this one because this is a Herb Trimpe cover with Rhino, Hulk, and Abomination. Actually, let me double check if this is a key. It's Hulk 171. Yeah, Battle of Hulk versus Abomination and Rhino. So it's a key just because of that, and because it's got this awesome cover. So yeah, when I saw this one when I was doing the research, I was like, we're finding this at the con for sure. And Heroes Con is that wow, what tape did they use on this? Heroes Con is that awesome. Like, if there's a book out there, you can find it there. One we did have a little trouble finding. Actually, we didn't find. I'm sure it was there somewhere, but there's a book that is it's the first Marvel and DC crossover, and it's a Superman and Spider-Man crossover, and we wanted to find that one. I think it's an oversized book. Like, do I have it here? I have the Superman versus Muhammad Ali. I have a facsimile of that, and it's like a big one. That one we had a little trouble finding. This is Silver Age book, so actually this is probably a Bronze Age book, not Silver Age, but I'm still putting it in a silver bag and board. Actually, when is this book from? This is 1974. I really hope you know, the Bronze Age I think is definitely on the come up right now. The thing is, like, there aren't that many people that are big fans of DC in the Bronze Age. I like DC in the Bronze Age, and I like Marvel, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is Marvel had the edge in the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. In the 60s and 70s, Marvel was making better comics. Now, there's a lot of good stuff at DC during that time, a lot of really important stuff. But DC had to do this big thing where they, you know, reorganized all of their universes because it was so disjointed, and they had characters from Earth 1 and Earth 2. They had multiple versions of Superman, and it was just so hard to keep track of that they did this event. And I have mine is signed by George Perez. And they consolidated all of their universes down to one, and they gave us a more consistent continuity. And this is where DC gets really, really good, I think. And DC's had a lot of great books since this. But, you know, they had good stuff in the 60s and 70s as well. I just think that Marvel had the edge. I mean, Chris Claremont's X-Men started in the 70s. And that is one of the best runs of all time. All right, moving on. Next book. Let's see. What's it gonna be? It is Justice League. I think this book has some value. Let me see. Justice League 43. This is a $180 book in high grade. Of course, mine is not high grade. It's good enough, but you can see if I hold it up to the camera, the spine's got a lot going on. But most of the cover is okay. And it's the first appearance of the Royal Flush Gang, which I think is kind of cool. And I really like the cover as well. Who's the creative team? This is from 1966. And Mike Zakowski is the artist. And Gardner Fox is the writer. Gardner Fox was a good writer for DC in the Silver Age. I know a little bit about Mike Zakowski. I don't collect that much of his work. But yeah, look at this. I got to be really careful with this book because that whole part of the top is detached. Actually, maybe I shouldn't even open this one up. I have that book. Yeah. All right, let's get this in a bag and board. Safe. I have a lot of Justice League from the Silver Age. I have all the Justice League, Silver Age, and Bronze Age omnibuses. I'm working on the first Bronze Age omnibus for the Justice League. And there's just something about it that I really like. I mean, I wish that they had stayed with one consistent writer for longer with the Justice League in the Bronze Age, because some of the problem with the Justice League in the Bronze Age is that, like, it's a lot of hit or miss because they changed the writer a lot. Good thing is that Dick Dillon did like 90% of the art for Justice League in the Bronze Age, and Dick Dillon's art is great. Actually, I'm surprised more people aren't like big fans of Dick Dillon's art. I like his art a lot. You're safe now. So that's a cool book. But yeah, I really like Dick Dillon, and I feel like I never hear about him. I got a haircut today, so I'm messing with my hair a lot. This book's older than you. Yeah, 1966. It's a lot older than me, too. Ooh, this next one. Yeah, these books are, I mean, I was born in 91, so these books are almost, 30 years older than me. And I'm still a fan of them. This is one of my favorite pickups of the entire con. This is X-Men 16. I'm going to look this up so I don't mess this up. X-Men 16. It is the third appearance of the Sentinels. What I really love is that you have the master mold on the front cover. And this is Jack Kirby, Stan Lee. And it's only issue 16. This is the 16th issue ever of X-Men. And I think this cover is so cool with all the original X-Men. Beast is still in his normal human-looking form. You got Angel, you got Jean Grey, Iceman, and Cyclops there. Almost forgot Cyclops' name. But this book is so good, cool, and it's yellow and it's beautiful. And this is in high grade. This book is worth $650. Now, I have to say this every time I say the price. Mine's not high grade, but mine's not too bad. And I think I got this for a really good price. Look, the spine looks pretty good. The colors are great. It's got a little bit of discoloration here on this side, but I don't know why this has a $1 sticker on it, by the way. Oh, maybe that's $100. Yeah, $100. I don't remember if that's what I got this for. But I remember being super happy about what the price that I got this for. There's a little bit going on there at the bottom. Yeah, that's one of my favorite pickups of the whole con. By the way, in the first video when I was doing this, we talked about this book right here. This book is like a 2.2K book, $2,200 book in high grade. Mine's not in high grade, and it is missing something from the interior, but I got this dope book in my collection, which is pretty awesome. So, I get to display this book now in my house, and I'm so excited about this. It's the first appearance of Poison Ivy, which is, one of my favorite villains of all time. Batman's my favorite character, so I love all of his villains, and I can't believe I have this book in my collection now, so this is great. All right, let's get this guy in a bag and board. Actually, let's take a quick look at some beautiful Jack Kirby art. Some Stan Lee writing. This is, they changed how Iceman looked because they used to make him look more like, originally he was more like just looking like a snowman, and they changed him to look more like ice after his first couple comics where he looked the other way. Beautiful stuff. All right. I want to be careful with this because this book is still in decent condition, and I really want to keep it that way. I used to get so much more nervous when I was doing this because these things are so freaking old and fragile. There we go. Now you're gonna stay in there forever. And I mean it, man. So someone the other day was asking me, we were talking about, I don't know, somehow it came up selling the collection, or if I ever needed to, or if I ever wanted to sell any of my books. And the only reason I would ever sell any of my comics is to upgrade to another comic that I want. If something catastrophic happened to me and I needed the money, of course I would sell some comic books. But I mean, outside of some crazy thing happening, I don't plan on selling any of my books unless maybe it's to trade up. So when I say I'm putting it in here, I expect this book to stay in here until someone inherits it from me, my future children or my wife, because God knows she's gonna outlive me. Yeah, that's the way I feel about my comic books. All right, let's see what we got next. What do we have here? Oh yeah, this book is actually this Doctor Strange book. It's Doctor Strange 182. I'm surprised that this book has the value that it does, because it's a battle of a Doctor Strange versus Juggernaut. People love the Juggernaut. Oh, I forgot I got to zoom in a little bit on this. There we go. People love the Juggernaut. And this cover's cool. Who's the creative team? Cover artist is Gene Colan. Yeah, Gene Colan's a great artist. And it's worth $60. I'm just surprised that this is a $60 book, I think it's cool, but I don't know. I guess people really like that cover. Whenever I take this tape off, I always make sure to stick it back onto itself so that I can't stick the book when I'm taking it out. I think this is a modern. No, I need silver. This is such a cathartic experience for me to put all of these books in the proper bag and board, and just know that they're, saying to know they're safe is a weird way of putting it, but I feel better about it. Get them in their proper bag and board, put them in their box. I'm working on putting up more shelves so I can display more comic books on my walls. Because I don't like the idea of these books just sitting in excuse me, just sitting in my boxes and not being enjoyed. So like right now I just started it and I have all these books up on the wall. But I'm putting more shelves up so I can put more comics up and put stuff like this up on the wall, put stuff like this up on the wall, you know. All right. Next book. I don't remember what the key on this one is. It's Thor 193. Thor 193. Battle of Thor and Silver Surfer. It's from 1971. It's $140 in high grade. And it's John Buscema and Jerry Conway. Oh, I think I got this because I was thinking about getting it signed by Jerry Conway. But I only got one book signed by him. John Buscema is a great artist, though, and this is a cool cover. And look at this bag and board this is in. Man, to put your books in a bag and board like this, I don't understand why more of the vendors don't do it, because you probably sell more comic books when people are pulling out books and they look like this or like this and in like a proper Mylar bag and board, you know, expensive books. Honestly, I think it, even me knowing that, like knowing I'm going to put it in a better bag and board, I think when I go to booths and I see the condition of the books and I'm pulling them out, like I think it upsells me, you know, when books are in a good bag and board. So there's Silver Surfer, Thor. Yeah, I honestly, I recommend reading, if you've never read a comic book, I really recommend that go to the comic book stores are everywhere, every city in the entire country, really, and go grab a couple. Like, they come out every Wednesday, right? Go grab a couple, you know, Batman or whatever you're interested in off the shelf at your local comic shop and read them. The modern comics are so good. You know, it takes a while, I think, to develop an appreciation for these old comic books that I'm showing now, like the Silver Age stuff. Because I'm mostly into these books for the historical significance and for what came after them, and also like the early work of some of these really big names in comics. Because the truth of the matter is the writing in comic books has gotten progressively better over the years. You know, I don't know if anyone came along that was a bigger pioneer than Stan Lee or some of these other guys, John Byrne, George Perez, all these guys that, or even further back, Gil Kane, whatever. But writing has gotten better and artwork has gotten better. So, you know, and the industry's gotten bigger. So the comic books that are coming out every Wednesday today are really, really good. They're really good material. It's like reading a novel almost. And the illustrations are really good. And if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. All right. Avengers 127. Let me see. I don't, some of these I don't remember what the key is. Okay, Avengers 127. This is the first appearance of Ultron 7. So this is a pretty cheap book. It's only worth $35 in high grade, but I think I got this for like $1, which is kind of cool. Who's the creative team? Is there a certain way to read them? Yeah. So this is an example. So you get used to it. The more comics you read, and they've gotten better at this, but you start to learn the order of what to read, and the order to read it. It can be a little hard at first. Like my wife has read some comic books as well, and sometimes they even put like an arrow in because they're like, read this panel next. But you know, it's just left to right, and it's usually sometimes it goes like down the page and then back up, and sometimes it goes across. But if you look at like the dialogue and what's going on, you can kind of keep track of which way it's going. These old comic books were printed on newsprint, by the way. Nowadays they're not printed on this old crappy paper. You know, this is what like a modern comic looks like. it's there, and this is just a random one I had. But the paper quality, everything's much better. Yeah, this cover's pretty awesome, right? So yeah, this is actually exciting for me because I don't remember all the books that I bought at the con. So as we're going through here and I'm taking these out and like, you know, rebag and boarding them, I'm kind of like getting excited about the stuff that I bought. My budget this year was half of what it was last year, and I think I got better books. All right, let's see what the next one is. Oh, this is cool. It's a full cover. I think I got this one really cheap as well. Spectacular Spider-Man 200. So it's a milestone issue, and it's a foil cover, and it's got Spider-Man going at it with the Green Goblin. This is probably 90s because they did a lot of this stuff. It's Sal Buscema is the artist. Cool book. I gotta put this in a modern bag and board. Yeah, exactly. The writing and the dialogue help you comprehend. This one's a little more modern. Oh, look at this. I love this art. Oh, look at oh my god, they're revealing who they are to each other. I didn't even know what's going on in this comic book. I haven't read this far into Spider-Man yet. I've read more modern Spider-Man runs, but I haven't read this part of Spider-Man, so I actually don't have context for what's happening in this book. Wow, that art is beautiful in there. This is modern, so I need a modern bag and board. And like I said before, I'm a sucker for the foil covers. I actually have a binder. I actually have some of my comic books, the more modern stuff, in a comic book binder, and I have a whole binder. There were like half of the books in there are foil covers, Venom and stuff like that. All right, what do we got next? X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 197. This is a John Romita Jr. cover featuring Doom. It's pretty cool. Is this a key? 197. And in fact, I'm going to take some of these books off of here. Let me just quickly go through some of the books that are here, by the way. We started off with the third appearance of The Punisher. Then we had these books signed by Daryl Banks. There's the Tom Brady cover. This is the first cameo appearance of Kyle Rayner. This is the first appearance of Kyle Rayner and the first Parallax Hal Jordan. First cover of Kyle Rayner. We had some Scotty Youngs. This is the first Red Skull in the Silver Age, which is pretty cool. And it's just an awesome Tales of Suspense issue. We have first Spider-Mobile. I do grade some of my comics. Actually, let's see. I got a bunch of graded ones back here. And I got some more on the wall next to those over there. And I have some graded some comics that I'm grading that I'm waiting for right now. So I buy most of my comics raw. Oh, this one's great. Anyway, that's the stuff that we've gone through already. So let's keep going in these books. X-Men 197. I guess it's not a key, but it's just a cover. It's an iconic cover by John Romita Jr., one of my favorite artists of all time. There it is. I guess I'll put this one in the silver bag and board. This is part of Chris Claremont's X-Men, which, you know, I would argue is in the conversation for best comic book run of all time. It's definitely like it's in the top 5, maybe it's even in the top 3. I don't know. its influence on comic books and its importance and the art and the storytelling and everything else. I think it's that awesome. So I always love anything that's part of Chris Claremont's run. I always love adding it to my collection. All right, what do we have next? This is Amazing Spider-Man 123. Let me look this up. Yeah, this one with Luke Cage punching Spider-Man. When I was like researching books to buy for the con, I came across this cover and I was like, and this is John Romita Sr., one of my favorite all-time artists. And I was like, man, I gotta have this just for the cover. I don't even care if it's a key, but it is. It's $125 in high grade. This book, which mine is not high grade, but it's actually mine's in pretty good condition. It's the funeral of Gwen Stacy. It's a battle of Spider-Man and Luke Cage, and Luke Cage references DC. He says, "We ain't all rich playboys like Bruce Wayne." So that's pretty cool. Marvel and DC have referenced each other. Like even in the Kyle Rayner run that I talked about earlier, there's a reference to that's Green Lantern. There's a reference to Wong of Doctor Strange. So they referenced each other a lot. Not a lot, but you know, there have been historically some references back and forth from DC to Marvel, kind of just like, you know, hint, hint, you know, and I think that's pretty interesting and kind of cool to have. Even before they had official crossovers, there's actually a issue of Justice League from the Bronze Age where they go to a parade on Halloween, and a bunch of people in the parade are dressed as superheroes, and there's a float where there's 3 people on it dressed as like Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. And so it's like an unofficial DC Marvel crossover. Now, who would win in a battle between Luke Cage and Spider-Man? I got to give it to Spidey. Luke Cage is pretty dope, and he's very durable. I don't think that Spider-Man would be able to like knock Luke Cage out or anything. Well, yeah, no. Well, maybe he does have like super strength. It's not, and Spider-Man would never kill anyone, right? Or unalive, I should say. But I still give the edge to Spider-Man just because his power set is just better. All right, what's the next book? And make sure I don't get kicked out of TikTok. Oh, yep, there we go. TikTok is making me verify that I'm still here, and I am. Yes, I'm putting the puzzle pieces in the puzzle piece thing. Okay, thank you, TikTok, for not kicking me out. I'm not really sure why it does that. You'd think it'd be able to tell, like, in another way that I'm still here. Anyway, I have a shirt with this on it, which is really cool. This is part of the Kraven's Last Hunt. So this is Spider-Man, which is a really famous run. 32. Let me find this real quick. Yeah, and it's an iconic cover art by Mike Zeck, and it's part 4 of Kraven's Last Hunt, and this is just a super well-known cover. I think this is one of Spider-Man's cooler covers. This is only like a $30 book, so this is you know, a cool book to pick up. That's like a, you know, he's in his black spider suit, and it's a really cool part of Spider-Man history because everybody loves the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline. And you know, they did not do a good job with Kraven, and I'm sorry if you like that movie. I actually like. I just don't like when they don't stick close to the source material. Is my gripe, because Kraven is a villain. He's not an anti-hero. And I think the guy did a good job in the role. Like, he was entertaining to watch, but all right. All right, what do we have next? Oh, my camera's inverted on TikTok. Let me see. Oh, did they change that? Maybe they changed it so I don't have to have it inverted anymore. I may have to fix this for the next stream. Let's see. All right. Is it better, Fabiola? There we go. I guess because they did an update to TikTok Studio recently, and they must have fixed that. So I had it inverted for how it used to be, but I guess now you don't need to do that. So, all right. Well, at least we're good now. I guess everybody on TikTok was looking at my books backwards. All right, this book. I think this book has some value. Avengers. What is this? Avengers. Oh, what? Oh, Avengers Annual 2. I was like, Avengers 2. I got like a multi-$1,000 book sitting in front of me. Let me turn off. Oh, Avengers Annual 2. Gotta search. Okay. Avengers Annual 2. It's a battle of the Avengers versus... Yeah, battle of the original Avengers versus the new Avengers, and it's the first appearance of Scarlet Centurion, the third identity of Kang the Conqueror. So this is a $200 book in high grade. Mine is not high grade. Oh man, I really gotta fix that thing. Mine is not high grade, but it's not too bad. It's that corner, right? I like these black covers when they're like fully intact, and the fact that this has so many characters on it. And I'm sure this is Jack Kirby, and I love Jack Kirby art, so this is just a cool book to have. And I got it for a really good price, based on the condition. How's it going, Scooter? We're looking at some cool comic books I bought at the convention. Oh, wow, this thing is a little rough. This must have had some water damage. Yeah. And this is an annual, so it's really thick. I don't want to open it all the way. Sorry, I had my camera inverted on TikTok. It's so funny. They just changed that. Where you... I don't know why TikTok inverts your camera, because I never had mine inverted on TikTok. But yeah, like I said, that's pretty cool. It's like a $200 book in high grade, and besides that one corner, the rest of this looks pretty good. So this is a cool book to have. Barely fits in there. All right, what do we got next? This is a cheap book, but it's really cool. This is actually, what is this? Hold on. Oh, it's John Byrne. This is a Fantastic Four John Byrne cover, and it's got Galactus on it. John Byrne's Fantastic Four run is absolutely amazing. It's my favorite Fantastic Four run. Actually, I've only read the first half, I'll be honest. There's 2 omnibuses for it. I've read Omnibus 1, and it's already my favorite Fantastic Four run. He writes and draws and does the art. And he's a great writer and a great artist. So that's a really awesome combination. And we're going to see this in the Fantastic Four movie. I mean, this is Galactus going at it with the Avengers. Although it'll just be the Fantastic Four, of course, in the movie. But this is what that character that we're going to see in the movie is based on. It's right here, you know? So that's pretty cool. of course, I believe the first artist to ever draw Galactus was Jack Kirby, I think. But correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure. No, I'm positive because I know the first appearance of Galactus and it was Jack Kirby that drew him. One of Jack Kirby's best designs ever, I think. Getting to the end here. Actually, I may not finish all these tonight. In this stream, we've been going for an hour, so I'm maybe wrapping the stream up here soon, and we'll go over the last few books in another video or in the shorts. Let me see what the next book is. Actually, let's pull this stack. Let's just do this. All right, I won't read Bag and Board, but I'm going to show off some of these books. Here is the second appearance of Zatanna, one of my favorite characters of all time for DC. And it's actually, I think this is actually technically her first, I don't think she's on the cover in her first appearance. So this is technically her first cover appearance. That's her in the bottom left corner there. So now, I now have her second and third appearance, and I eventually will like to get that Hawkman issue that is her first appearance, but I just don't have that yet. And that's a bigger budget book, so we'll have to see when I get that. What's some other cool ones in here? I have a bunch of really cool Justice League that I'm going to make videos about. Some of these books have a lot of value. I've got some really cool Jim Aparo Batman featuring the Joker, which is awesome. I think Jim Aparo is like one of the great Batman artists. Oh man, I have so much Batman here. Here's another famous Batman cover. This one isn't Jim Aparo though. This is what's his name? Is it on here? Hannigan, Mike Hannigan, I think it is. Really cool cover. Got this right here. What is this? Brave and the Bold 197. Okay, so this is the marriage of Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle on Earth 2, an alternate reality. And it is, who's the artist? Jim Aparo. So it's just another really cool Jim Aparo cover that I just thought I'd pick up with a scarecrow on it, which is pretty cool. This is either the second or third appearance of Killer Croc, which is awesome. I love this cover too, by the way. This is another it's Ed Hannigan, not Mike Hannigan. Ed Hannigan. This is another Ed Hannigan cover. I want to start collecting more Ed Hannigan because I really like his art. And what else we got here? Yeah, baby. I'm just finishing now. Yeah, because I've been going for an hour. I got some New Teen Titans, and then this will be the last book I show. This is a really cool New Teen Titans cover with Blackfire and Starfire. So, got some more stuff here, but I'm going to go over it in another video. Let's pull all this out here. Wow, I forgot about all these books that I bought. Oh, and I forgot about this old Action Comics stuff too, and World's Finest. These are really old books too. First cameo of Constantine. This is dope. All right. If you came and hang out, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to probably repost this as like a regular video on YouTube. So if you're watching in the VOD or anything, leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to talk about. If you have questions about comic books, I love answering questions about comics if I can. And I really appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe. Thanks.